Hey, welcome back to On the Spot. My name is Jonathan. We have here Coach Ty. He's the director of goalkeeping. On the spot, we just don't have anything scripted. We're just going to talk, really get to know Ty a little bit better. Ty, welcome. Thanks for being on here. Appreciate it. So, Ty, we're here excited to have you because we talked about some stuff with Besmir last time. We had some, coaching inspiration, philosophy, etc. But we want to just hear from you, your beginnings. Like, where did you start? Why soccer for you specifically?
Well, I started playing soccer when I was about 7, 8 years old. I think it just runs in the family. All my cousins were playing. I actually started playing baseball, but I felt left out. I started playing soccer, played with my cousins. Started playing goalie because I was the only one that could catch the ball, for my baseball experience. But then just, fell in love with it. So here we are, 27 years later.
Yeah, that's typically how it goes. Yeah, the goalkeeper everybody needs a goalkeeper.
I like to say no one appreciates a goalkeeper until they don't have one.
That's a good point. I'm a goalkeeper myself. I grew up playing goalkeeper since, sophomore year in high school, so not forever. But you said since you were, 8 years old?
8 years old, yeah.
Oh, man. So you're also from Turkey, right?
Yeah, originally.
Your family's from Turkey?
Yeah, my family's originally from Turkey, yeah.
It's a beautiful country, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Really, really great. And, you guys, listen, Turkey and all that area just got a lot of heritage, really, like football heritage, right? A lot of history.
There's a lot of history. It's the bridge between Europe and Asia. Byzantine Empire, Ottoman Empire, Turkish Republic now. The Roman Empire. It's just, if you ever get a chance to go there, some of the artifacts from hundreds of years ago is still up. It's pretty cool to see, actually. I was there in the summer. I saw found a church that was from the 7th century, which is insane.
Oh, wow. I was there in September, actually. I was able to visit your country.
Oh, just missed each other.
Yeah, man. It's beautiful, beautiful stuff, man. Literally going all across Ankara and stuff like that. I know we're going to talk about soccer today, but I just had to really give that credit to that country, man. Turkey's just amazing. So I guess that's where it all started, and then kind of progressing into. Did you play high school too?
Yeah, I played high school. Played JFK in Patterson. That's where I went to high school, and yeah. Pros and cons from going there.
Yeah.
I think with just Patterson athletics in general, I think it's too diluted between all the available schools. But, it is what it is.
There's a lot of players there. It's pretty big city relatively.
Yeah, the city's big, but, they're split over, the kids are all split between JFK, East Side, Passaic Tech. When I was in high school, Don Bosco Tech was still around.
Oh, that's
Patterson
right.
Catholic was still around, so you have all these players split all over the place. So we weren't as successful as they've been in the more recent years.
Got it.
I think also just with the number of soccer clubs that are around where these kids can actually get some good training, has helped a lot too.
Oh, okay, cool. So then after high school, and tell us a little bit about, because I think that's where your coaching career really started. Right, and after college, I've heard you were a Hall of Famer. That's a shameless part of your career.
City
right
College of New York, played goalkeeper there, and luckily I was fortunate enough to be honored enough, rather I should say, the privilege is all mine to be inducted to the Athletic Hall of Fame there. And after my 4 years of playing, I just joined the staff as a volunteer coach, and then worked my way up from volunteer coach to goalkeeper coach to assistant coach. So my first taste of coaching was just at City College of New York after I finished my playing career.
Yeah. So that was, what year was that?
From 2000, coaching wise, 2013 to 2019.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Playing wise, 09 to 12.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, you were with Besmir, coaching in those years as well, or not? You guys were on staff together?
For 1 year. 1 year.
Oh, 1 year. Okay.
My last year there was his only year there. So we had that 1 year together, yeah.
And how was that, working with Bess? You work with him now, but working with him back then.
It was interesting, to say the least. Interesting. No, it was good. It was good. He's a good guy, Our personalities are a bit different, but our ideas about the game are very similar. Very player-oriented, which I think gets lost in the way sometimes, where it's just a lot of coaches like to make it about themselves and whatnot. But it was, he's a good guy. You always want to work with good people.
Yeah, definitely.
at the end of the day. I mean, you could differ on philosophies and stuff like that, but if you don't get on with the people you're working with, especially at that level, but especially on the same staff, you're not going to get very far. You know, it's kind of pulling the line together, so to speak, you know, where it's just like, it's everything's, it's an obstacle. It's like, how are we going to get past this as a whole, as a coaching staff, as a club staff, so on. There's no bickering and stuff like that, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, so now years in between, you're also, I have here, one of the things I want to ask you about is ODP, Olympic Development Program, right? You also work and coach within that system. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm in my 4th year with the New Jersey ODP. I think it's a pretty excellent program. They have some top players come through there. The quality is high. The whole year is geared up towards the East Region Tournament in June. So we have NJ friendlies, Eastern Pennsylvania friendlies, Maryland and Virginia, which are all like classified as friendlies. But, you know, all these kids are playing and trying to show themselves and improve. I think it's a vital program. It's taking a backseat than it used compared to what it used to be. But I think a great element of it that I appreciate is that it gives these players another option to be seen somewhere. Like they're, you know, because after I'm at the state level, but then there's a regional team and there's a national team for ODP. So it gives players another avenue to be noticed by college coaches or even national team coaches. It's just, helps them get some more exposure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's huge. That's one of the things that we talked about with Besmir the past couple episodes in terms of being able to develop good players, but also just making sure that they're set up properly to succeed really in life. Like have proper values, making sure that, because I'm sure ODP things, they train at a pretty high level, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, the level's pretty high. It's very high. There's set of standards. It's just kind of iron sharpens iron, the old saying goes, kind of thing. So yeah, no, the level's definitely pretty high. But yeah, no, you want to train good players, but like Besmer always say, I want to, you know, sum it up, paraphrase it. It's just train good players, help develop better people, you know, where it's just at the end of the day, I forgot for one of my for one of my classes, for one of my licenses, I remember one of the instructors saying, listen, let's be realistic. How many of us are going to be coaching that 1%?
That's a good
that
one.
That go on to the national team or the professional level or so on and so forth. Let's focus on that 99% as well. Not to, you know, detract from that 1%. Obviously, you want the best for everyone. But I feel like a lot of times where it's just kind of like I said earlier about some coaches, like the ego, where it's more of like, what can you do for me instead of what can I do for you? Yeah.
And that's huge. That's one of the things that we wanted to talk about for sure. I think in this episode is really important because I wanted to, we talked a little more about, you know, your career trajectory, where you've been, Ty, and we appreciate having you around the club, man, because you bring a lot of experience to the table. I just want to really pick your brain on your philosophy, like coaching philosophy. We can kind of start to touch on that, a little bit of those layers. Maybe one of the coaches in Europe or coaches that you've seen over the years that inspire you, we can kind of start there because I'm just very curious to see where you get a lot of your philosophy from.
Well, there's when it comes to coaching philosophy, there's a marriage between getting results, getting them the proper way on the field, and the proper way in the locker room. So, like, if you look at Jose Mourinho, he's very rash, very cutthroat when it comes to making his lineups and transfers and all that stuff, which at that level you have to be. But also look at when he leaves or gets fired from clubs. How many of his players come out backing him? Or there's that great picture when I forget his name. Who was that player that they were hugging and crying in the park, you know, the car park?
Oh, it was when
after
he
the
left
Champions
Inter.
League, when he left Inter, you know. So it's just, that speaks, you can hate him or love him, you could detract from his playing style and stuff like that, but his players all loved him. So it's just, that speaks to the stuff that we don't see behind the scenes. So yeah, you have to take care of business on the field, but also you have to take care of the people in the background, you know. So it's just, that is part of like my coaching philosophy. Even like Jurgen Klopp, you know, he calls his players mentality monsters, where it's just like you need to have that belief that you can pull it off, you know, where it's just the past couple like weeks coming from behind. The last 2 games, the Carabao Cup against Chelsea, how many kids were under 21? There's how many kids had their first or second game, professional game, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
They showed the FA Cup against Southampton the other day, and 5 of the kids, I think 5 of the players were 20, 21 and under. You know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, was that the one with, oh, yeah.
There's 1-3-0. Dan scored 2 goals. That was his 3rd professional game.
And he's only 18, right?
Only 18, 3rd professional game. All 3 games coming this past week, you know. But kind of like to quote the show Ted Lasso, you know, you have to believe kind of thing. But you have to build an environment that cultivates that. Saying it's not enough. To say, hey, we're going to come back, we can't come back, you have the ability, is not enough. You have to cultivate an environment that allows that, and, you know, helping the players be comfortable and to grow is required for that resilience, you know, where it's just kind of, hey, you're going to make a mistake, go out there, you're still going to play, just don't make the same mistakes kind of thing, you know, where it's just, I feel like a lot of times at our level, it's just all about result based, you know, and I understand results, like, you have to teach players and kids how to win as well, you know, like I know everyone always loves to say you have to like learn how to lose. You gotta learn how to win too, you know. It takes a little bit extra, you know. You gotta want it more. It's saying it but that has to be cultivated. Saying it's not enough, you have to create an environment where that happens, you know. Yeah. So Jurgen Klopp, Mourinho, big fan of theirs. Look at Xabi Alonso, everything he's doing there at Bundesliga right now with Leverkusen. You know, was it 34, 35 games undefeated now? German record. Doing it with like not a big club, big team, quote unquote, big team in the Bundesliga. They've never won the Bundesliga, if I'm correct. But that's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. It's not all just X's and O's on, you know, on the field, on the boards. It's just mental strength, emotional strength. All that ties into it, you know, because it's just, you're not just playing with your feet.
That's huge, yeah.
Soccer's a thinking person's game.
Of course. No, I definitely, yeah, I hear you, because Ty, that's a huge thing, and just being able to talk to the players. Actually, that's one of the things I did ask Bez, and I'll probably just pick your brain a little bit more on that too. We spoke pretty extensively about like a halftime team talk, but I just wanted to see like what your mindset is behind speaking to some of those players who perhaps are down. Maybe they aren't having their best season so far. What's your mindset approaching that kind of player?
Well, I think you got to ask yourself why they're that type of player. You know, none of us start by doubting ourselves. We pick that up somewhere along the way. And I think it starts in the beginning of the year. Just kind of like how to approach it. You know, it's not just a halftime like, oh, we're losing today kind of thing. I think it starts like, you know, preseason. That's where it starts, because you got to learn your players. You got to know your players. Knowing your audience is half the battle in anything in life. And these go back to the kids, because we're coaching kids, you know, working with kids and young adults and teenagers and stuff. It's know who you're talking to and speak to them in a language they understand. Because even like the younger ones, you know, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, they're a lot smarter than they get credit for. But if you're using, like anything, like let's say you and I have a conversation, I start using random words that you've never heard of. You just be like, I don't know what you're talking about, but then I'll use words that, like, you know, you do know. Making the same point, but now you understand it. Before Artie was talking about the camera, or talking about astrophotography, and something interval, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, it just loops it on intervals. I was like, oh, cool, man. You know, I get that. You know what I mean? It's, I think I want to say it was Einstein, yeah, as a coach. He said, if you can't explain something simple enough, you don't know it well enough. So, it's halftime stuff, you know, like working from behind or stuff like that. It starts in preseason, but it's know your audience. Who are you talking to? What language do they understand? And like the language you understand, obviously you can cultivate that too. You can start using certain words and help them learn those words, you know, and understand those words and apply those words. But you can't get upset if they don't know from the start. My old soccer coach used to told me this about, what was it, 11 years ago. You can't get upset or mad at a player who doesn't know, who hasn't been taught. Fair enough, right? It's just
who hasn't been taught?
Who hasn't been taught.
Oh, interesting.
How do you get upset or mad at a player who hasn't been taught?
Yeah.
Is it their fault that they don't know? Someone didn't teach them, you know? So it's just keep that in mind, you know? And like, everyone's different. Some players need words of motivation. Some players need, you know, for lack of a better phrase, a little kick in the butt, like, hey, what do you know? But it's just like, it could always be in a positive manner. Is my belief, where it's just, if I turn around to you, let's say you, for example, I'm like, hey, John, what are you doing out there? Versus like, hey, John, you're better than that. Well, they're both criticism.
Yeah, I see.
But which do you think you'd better respond to? You can be critical in a positive manner. You're better than that is a criticism, but it's not putting you down. So you need to know your audience, and then your vocabulary and your word choices need to mirror that audience, because it doesn't do anyone any good if you're using words they don't understand. Like, I'm not going to be with a U9 team and talk about two opposing truths, you know? Talk about like the philosophy of how opposing truths are a thing, and life's not black and white. You can have two opposing truths. So for example, I was just in Virginia with ODP. When I coached the 09 girls. They're mostly freshmen in high school. And I talked about opposing truths. I'm like, opposing truths do exist. I was like, for example, you guys are moving the ball a lot better than the other team. Is that true? Yes. Yes, it is, coach. Are you still losing? Yes, we are, coach. Those are two opposing truths, generally speaking. Especially in soccer, you know, like usually if you're winning, you're moving the ball a lot better than the other team. But those are two opposing truths. But like, I'm not going to have that conversation with a U9 team. I will, not necessarily in those words. So knowing your audience is key. But it's also following up, building that trust. Saying, if I go to you, hey, John, just keep doing what we're working on. We've been working on our practice. Don't worry if you make a mistake. I'm not going to be upset with you. I'm not going to sub you out. And then you make that mistake. If I stick to my word and don't sub you out, is your confidence not going to grow? Are you not going to be more willing to take risks? Or it's just like, hey, all right, we'll talk about it later, but I'm not losing minutes over this kind of thing, you know? I tell the goalies a lot, but I also say to a lot of field players where it's just like, hey, I'd rather you make the wrong decision than no decision at all. Because I can't make a decision for you. But you and I can go over why it was the wrong decision. So it's just, you know, staying true to your word, knowing your audience. Good things will happen.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, and that's one of the greatest things, Ty. If we the people who are going to be watching these episodes are mostly our players, right? Thank you for your support. You guys appreciate it. And then we spoke about perhaps young coaches or aspiring coaches are going to be potentially watching these episodes as well. So it's great that we were able to dive deep into this. And as we wind down a little bit, I just wanted you, because you spoke a lot about your mindset and really appreciate that. So if you had to sum up your philosophy, just overall coaching philosophy, just on the field, off the field, all the stuff that we talked about. If you had to sum it up in just a couple minutes, in a few words, how would you say it? And for the simplest terms, for the people who perhaps are aspiring coaches, young coaches, who want to understand a little more as to what it takes.
Know your audience, know who you're coaching. And it's about them, not you. You're not the one playing. You're supposed to be guiding them. It's about them, not you. They win, they lose, they tie. They make the mistakes, they score the goals. We just stand there on the side pointing and talking. It's about them, not you, especially at the youth level, because it's just, you don't want to set them up for failure down in the future. You can remote control them to get the wins, but you're not always going to be their coach. Teach them the game. It's about them, not you.
Wow. Well, it's just in the moment that you have them, you're coaching them. That's really, you focus on that moment and then make sure they're set up for the next coach or the next team, etc.
For the next step in their life,
Yeah.
It's just kind of not to get side distracted or a sidebar here, but I think it applies where it's just, if they're not making the decisions in the game, when do they learn to make the decisions? Now, we're talking about soccer. They're in the game there. Now, transfer that over to life. If you're not making decisions, how do you learn to make a decision? But two, hey, sometimes you have to make the wrong decision and bounce back. We got to get rid of this idea of perfect. It's non-existent in the game and in life. So you're setting them up for their next step in their playing career, high school, college, but you're also setting them up for life. It's just hey, be comfortable making decisions.
That's it. I mean, decisions all the time. Their whole life they have to make decisions. We all do. So I really like how you frame that.
So sum it up, 5 words. It's about them, not you.
Wow. Appreciate that, Ty. Well, thank you, Ty. And I just really want to end it with one last question. North Jersey FC, we got a big season ahead. It's spring and the summer and then the fall. And then moving forward, what are you expecting the most? What's something you're excited about? What's something you're looking forward to going into the spring season?
To be honest, I'm excited to get back on the field. Just anytime I'm on the field, I'm a happy person. Which also ties into keep the happy place for the kids when they're on the field. Don't make it somewhere they hate going. But excited back for the games. And excited for the growth of the club. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes about the UPSL, I think.
Yeah. The academy teams.
Yeah. And just, these players growing and playing at a little higher levels and stuff. So I'm excited see their progress and see what they make of it, how they, react to the challenge. But I don't know, there's a lot of things cooking in the background and, curious to see how it goes, see where it goes. But just excited to be out in the field again with the kids, the players, and then, fellow coaches and stuff like that. Just any day on the field's a good day.
Hey, so this has been Jonathan, your host of On the Spot. Thank you for joining us here at North Jersey FC YouTube channel. Ty, thank you for joining us as well.
Thanks for having me, man.
He's our director of goalkeeping, so definitely stay tuned for more. Follow us for more, and we'll see you soon.